Next week's going to be a big week. At the end of every year, we take some time to celebrate everything God's done. We look back at everything God has done in the last 12 months in us and through us and for us. And so we celebrate that. It'll be a time of testimony. It'll be a time of worship. Afterwards, there will be a business meeting because the state says if you want to maintain nonprofit status, you have to have at least one business meeting a year. And so you don't want to miss it. It'll be really, really good. It recorded in Numbers 24:17. And Balaam said, a star shall come out of Jacob, and a scepter shall arise out of Israel. So Balaam was talking about a star, but he never saw the king. He spoke better than he lived. I know all the right words to say, especially to the preacher on Sunday. Monday through Saturday, that's a different story. Your walk talks and your talk talks, right? Balaam had the talk, but he didn't have the walk. What about you? What about you? So we fast forward through Balaam, and then centuries later, this guy named Daniel is taken into exile into Babylon, okay? And he would have known the prophecy that Balaam spoke because Daniel was very well educated in the scriptures, okay? And so we go from Moses. Daniel knew the writings of Moses. He knew the writings of Isaiah. He knew the writings of Jeremiah. And God placed Daniel in a court of pagan kings, kings who did not follow Jesus, kings who did not give a rip about the God of the Bible. And Daniel is serving them. Was it comfortable for Daniel to be there? No, but God used Daniel where he was for God's glory and the good of others. So much so that Daniel was raised up through the ranks to become a very high-level official, teaching about the God of the Bible. Daniel was made to be in an uncomfortable location, in an uncomfortable situation, and yet he chose to remain faithful. What about you? What uncomfortable situation or location are you in? And are you trying to choose your comfort, or are you trying to choose God's glory? It was making a statement. By offering gold, the wise men, the magi, were making a theological statement before they were making a financial statement. The theological statement was this: that child right there is king. And that connects directly back to Balaam's prophecy saying that a scepter shall rise out of Israel. Scepters are held by kings. Gold belongs to thrones. By offering gold, these magi proclaimed that Jesus was born a king. He possessed authority from the very beginning. The gift of gold says, you reign. The gift of gold says, you rule. The gift of gold says, my authority bows to you. So many people want Jesus as their Savior, but they hesitate to receive Him as their King. We will offer Jesus compliments. We will offer Jesus prayer. We will maybe even offer Jesus some of our preferences, but rarely will today's church offer Jesus their submission. And even more rarely will today's church offer Jesus their sacrifice, because that now becomes uncomfortable. When the prayers of saints are described in Revelation, they rise like incense before the throne. Frankincense says, God is here. And the Magi were standing before a child. They weren't in a palace. They weren't in a temple. They weren't surrounded by priests, and they offer frankincense. And in doing so, they are proclaiming something that is staggering. They are saying the presence of God no longer is confined to a building. The presence of God is now the dwelling of a person. And His name is Jesus, the Christ. It says that this child is not only king. He's not merely going to rule over his people. He is going to bring these people to God. And God came to the people. Why would pagan scholars from a faraway country bring a priestly gift to a Jewish child? That's not normal. God's plan does not unfold by accident. Frankincense says God has entered the room. The Magi did not analyze when they saw the child. They did not negotiate. They fell down and worshiped. Because when God's presence stands before you, the only fitting response is surrender and worship. We're getting into myrrh, and it's kind of the most unsettling of the three gifts, not because it lacks value, but because it tells the truth a little too early. In the ancient world, myrrh was valuable, it was rare, it was costly, but it was associated with pain, death, and burial. That's when myrrh was used. Okay, it was used in embalming, it was used in burial, it slowed the decay, it matched the smell of death, and it honored the deceased. In fact, John 19:39 says, Nicodemus, when Christ's body was taken off the cross, Nicodemus brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 75 pounds in weight, to prepare Jesus' body for burial. The same substance, the same stuff that was placed before him as a child would later be used on his lifeless body after the cross. Myrrh is a symbol of mortality. Okay? Gold and frankincense associated with life, wealth, worship. Myrrh carried the scent and the association of death. It wasn't a celebratory gift. It was a prophetic gift. Okay, the gift of myrrh declares something essential about Jesus. He was born in order to die. This was not an accident. This wasn't a tragic turn of events. This was the plan from day one. Let's sum it up real quick. The theological weight of each gift. Gold says you are a king. Okay, frankincense says you are a god. Myrrh says you are the sacrifice. And when you put all of that together, it is only and ever fulfilled in one person, Jesus Christ. A king who dies is a tragedy. A God who cannot die is distant. But a king who is God and willingly dies for his people, that's salvation. The presence of myrrh reminds us that Christmas cannot be separated from Good Friday. We don't worship a Savior who is unfamiliar with pain. We don't pray to a king who is untouched by grief. We trust a God who entered the world knowing exactly where his road would lead. And he did it anyway.